Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. Hello, Bradley. I'm not 100% sure what time or what day it is, if I'm honest.
You've had a big night, right?
I've had a big night and then a big morning.
Well, very much congratulations to you, Johnny, for being the Fortnum & Mason Drinks Writer of the Year. Is that the crown, the latest crown?
Drinks Book of the Year.
Drinks Book of the Year. Yeah. Come on, mate. I was having a look at your prizes you got. Can I read it out to people? It's not. Oh yeah,
go on. I don't think I've read the exact prizes. Tell me.
So, this is what it says on the website because I hadn't heard of the award before. That's not to knock the award. It's been going for 10 years,
brutal.
Johnny. But I actually went past Fortnum & Mason yesterday, the store, because I was at a trade show, and I thought of you. I don't know if you were actually in the store. But anyway, I digress. We're very early to digress. The winner in each category receives a unique trophy, an iconic Fortnum & Mason hamper, and a bottle of Fortnum & Mason vintage champagne.
Yeah, baby. Although the thought of champagne makes me feel really quite ill right now.
Well, I was going to ask you what's in your hamper, Johnny Garrett, but you don't know what's in your hamper because they didn't give it to you.
No, they're delivering the hamper, I think, on the 20th of May.
Mate.
So I went home with my trophy, which is a pretty cool thing. It's a 3D printed wine cooler with my name and the award on it, and it's by some designer whose name I forget. It's like Momo May or something.
Sick! That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. There's a photo on my Twitter.
Has it got all the texture of the 3D printed thing where it's rough and
yeah, it's designed to look a bit like a hamper, so it's got fake kind of twine,
like wickery, a wicker cooler.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you're going to put
nice.
some Cantillon in there, yeah?
Do you know what? Actually, it won't fit the fat bottles.
Oh,
I've already tested it with some of the big beer bottles. That's what I did when I got home last night. I was like, I'm not going to bed. I'm going to test out my new wine cooler.
How inconsiderate of Fortnum & Mason not to have considered the fact you might want to put some Cantillon in it.
I know, right?
Is it that kind of Fortnum & Mason sort of teal Tiffany blue colour?
No, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not the colour. It is a hamper colour. So beige.
Oh, okay, cool. Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice. That sounds really exotic. And do you know it takes incredibly long to 3D print stuff? So that may have taken somebody a very long time to 3D print that. So that
was a very precise factoid you were giving there.
Yeah.
You were like,
well,
I don't actually know how long.
I don't know. It depends how big it is. But if it's remotely big, like a normal wine cooler, that could well have taken 6 hours to print it or something. It's a long old process.
No, I know nothing about 3D printing other than that I now have a wine cooler that was 3D printed.
Sick.
I do want to say that. I feel like we've digressed. I want to say that the biggest bit of news that happened last night. I mean, the award was big, but I hugged Claudia Winkleman, national treasure, Claudia Winkleman.
Did you give her Did you give Winkleman a wink?
I didn't give Winkleman a wink. She probably gets that a lot. She's probably sick of people winking at her. So I just I was totally blown away. I didn't expect to. Well, I'll tell you the story. I was stood there having a conversation with my book editor, and a friend who works in beer came over and was like, "Johnny, I need to speak to you." And I was like, oh, okay. So I went with her, and she just said, we need you at the front. So she walked me up to the front. And bear in mind, she doesn't work for Fortnum and Mason. She works in beer. And so I walked up to the front, and turns out she knew somebody from Fortnum and Mason's. But then, like, I just sort of stood at the front. I wasn't quite sure what I was doing there. I assumed that all the nominees had been there. But then it turned out that I'd been brought to the front because they needed to know I was there. Because I'd come in and not given my name on the door because the door security was a little bit lax. And so they didn't know I was there. And apparently I delayed the whole goddamn ceremony because they were waiting for one of the winners to arrive. And I was like, I was there the whole time.
So causing drama as always.
Causing drama, exactly. I just wanted to make an entrance.
So basically you sort of Mission Impossible style secreted yourself into an award ceremony without anyone
very James Bond, yeah,
knowing who you were, and then
there were cameras following me though, yeah, and then so I sort of thought maybe I've won this, but maybe all the nominees were up here because I didn't know who the other nominees were. Well, I'd never met them, sorry. But yeah, so then I was totally in shock when I actually won, and Claudia Winkleman, when she said to me, she reassured me. She was like, I looked so surprised. She was like, you have won this. when she gave me a congratulatory hug, and I was just like, my wife is going to die of happiness knowing that this just happened. Because we're big Strictly fans in this household. So
okay. Oh yeah, she's on Strictly, right? Yeah. Interesting. I just sort of remember her from Big Brother days. Really, I don't really watch Strictly. But
no, wait,
isn't that
Davina McCall? Right? Oh God, I don't know. I thought it was Davina McCall, the Big Brother.
Yeah, you're right. They're like interchangeable in my mind because I don't watch.
How dare you? One of them has a killer fringe. The other one, I think, has a middle parting. There are more differences between these two great presenters.
No. Oh, look, I'm sure they're both amazing. It's just I don't watch Saturday night TV. Full stop. Especially not on BBC One or ITV. So I don't make contact with these.
You're telling me you're not a Strictly fan? I'd have.
Nah, I mean, I used to watch it a bit years ago because my mum loves it and stuff, and I'd sort of my eye would be turned by the very attractive dancers as a younger man. I'd be like, wow, they're sort of very wiggly and stuff. So I remember there was one I was particularly
not sure wiggly is a term used by the judges.
No. They're just very wiggly, aren't they? They wear very wiggly outfits and stuff. So I can appreciate it as an art form as well, maybe. But deep rooted, my sister used to do ballroom dancing when we were kids in Azalea Hall, which is the local dance hall thing in Beckenham where I grew up. And a little bit of pop factoid knowledge here. Anton Dubek took his name from Beckenham, Anton de Beckenham. It's like a joke. He is something to do with Beckenham. I don't know if he danced at Azalea Hall, I'm not sure. But there's some mad connection with Anton de Beck and Beckenham. And that's the length of what I know about Anton de Beck and his Beckenham connection.
Come for the beer podcast. Well, what are we talking about? This isn't a beer podcast. Come for the beer vague conversation and stay for the Anton de Beck trivia.
Anton de Beckenham. But I mean, there's such luminaries as Anton de Beckenham and David Bowie have lived in my hood where I grew up. So quite a good little creative hotbed of... and
of course, Bradley Evans, co-founder of the Craft Beer Channel.
Yeah.
Up there with David Bowie.
Exactly. Yeah. But now I live in Catford, which I can't think of anything famous about Catford apart from the giant cat made of fiberglass that hangs over the shopping centre. It is monumentally large. I don't know how large I could describe it. For anyone, just Google it. If you're not from England, the UK, or you've never heard of Catford, Google the Catford cat and look at it, because it is something to behold.
It's like the size of the Brudio.
Mate, it is about 4 times the size of the Brudio. No. It's huge. It's fucking massive, dude. It is huge.
I've even walked past it and not appreciated the sheer scale.
It's huge. As a kid, I remember it driving from Beckenham through Catford to wherever, and I always remember thinking that is amazing. I loved it. And there was a roundabout nearby somewhere. It's gone now. I don't know where it was, but it had 2 giant sumo wrestlers that were in the middle of the roundabout, and they were pushing against each other, and it was all like painted like super bright, very 1980s fiberglass sculpture. And I thought that was the best thing ever. I was so happy when I went around the roundabout, just eyeing up these giant sumo wrestlers. So it was like, Americans, they've got Disneyland. In South London, we had in the 80s the giant Catford Cat and the giant sumo wrestlers on the roundabout, and that was enough for me as a nipper. I tell you, mate, great stuff.
How have we ended up here? Like, I'm just trying to think: is it me being hungover, or has something? I don't know. I've won an award, and now we're talking about 2 fiberglass sumo wrestlers on a roundabout. Yeah. So I won an award for my book. If you haven't bought my book, I'll put a link below. So please do buy it. It is now award winning. What else have we done this week? Have you done anything beery other than the thing we're going to talk about for the video?
Well, I'll tell you what. I went to which is becoming a sort of little favourite of mine. I went to the Victoria in Deptford, and they have back. I've got a £5 curry night on a Tuesday. I love a bargain, Johnny. So
you do.
I went back down there, said hi to Phil, the pub manager, a lady, called Phil. I'm guessing Philomena, maybe. Very nice lady. And I had my £5 mutton curry, and I had a lovely pint of Anspach and Hobday wheat beer. So last week when I was at Brew London, which I'm not sure I didn't talk about it because
you hadn't been
went
yet.
After we recorded the pod. Yeah. So I went to Brew London last week, and I hung out with Jack from Anspach and Hobday, and he was like, "Oh, do you want to, have some beers?" I was like, "Yeah." So I tried like various stuff, and I tried the wheat beer, and I was like, "This is actually beautiful." So I drank a fair bit of their wheat beer at Brew London, along with some of their other wonderful offerings. So I kept it going, and the kind of sweetness of the wheat beer with the mutton, richness of the sort of tomatoey sauce. I don't even know what kind of curry it was, mate. I'm not going to lie.
It's a mutton curry. That's all we need to know.
It was a mutton curry, and it was good combo. Good combo. The sweetness of the wheat beer, the sort of fullness of that body, with the rice and the sort of mutton and everything. It's great. It was great.
Yeah. No, that's a good combo. I've often suggested wheat beer with sort of sweeter curries. I think it can really work.
Have you? Right, yeah. I mean, I was like, do I get a lager? But then when I saw they had that, I was like, shit, I'm totally having that. And it was a perfect combo. Brew London was good. I had a great time. Picked up a gadget for lowbrow, so that'll be coming at some point. A sort of pressurized growler situation. And met a lot of different people actually, but I was only there for like a fleeting visit.
Did you meet any Patreons or CBC followers?
Yeah. So I met a few Patreons, hung around with a couple of them for a bit, and I saw some fellow YouTubers and stuff like that. But mostly I was just catching up with lovely beer people. So. I saw Jack from Anspach and Hobday. I saw Chris Hall, who used to work at Howling Hops, but now works up in Leeds at Kirkstall. And I spoke to Pete Brown, the award-winning other. I hang around with so many award-winning beer book writers now.
Yeah, so great taste in beer writers. Yeah.
I actually had a talk with Pete. I've never really talked to Pete much before. I think because normally monopolising because you guys have got more in common, but you weren't there. So we were talking very random stuff about pagan festivals and all kinds of stuff. Because I'd just been to Jack in the Green festival, which is like a pagan thing that goes on in Hastings. Sort of Green Man Festival. I probably talked about it the other week. I can't remember now. So he's written about all of that kind of stuff in one of his books.
Yeah.
So we're having a good old chat.
I was racking my brain to think, why wasn't I there? And I remembered it was because I was busy. I was kegging the beer for the pastry stout and cleaning the brewery ready for the live show we did on Saturday, which is the other beery thing that I just remembered we did.
That is why, we did have a beery week. So that's crazy, isn't it? We've forgotten so much of the beery week that we had. Yeah. But, and we filmed on, fucking hell.
And we filmed on Monday. So, Saturday we did our live brew. for Big Brew Day, which is an annual brew-along event hosted by Grainfather and Lallerman. So we hosted that this year and had a bloody great time. Like 5 hours absolutely flew by. I couldn't believe it. We drank beers, we took loads of questions, and obviously we brewed the beer, which is fermenting behind me. It's calmed down now, but it went out the starting blocks like thunder, like lightning.
Blimey.
Yeah, thunder's slower than lightning, isn't it? Like lightning. So I haven't bought the raspberries that are supposed to go into the raspberry puree yet, so I need to get on that because it needs to go in. But yeah, so we did that, and you can still watch that, not live, obviously, but you can still watch that brew. We had lots of fun, took lots of questions, had some great guests. We chatted to the founder of Malt Miller. We chatted to a technical person from Grainfather about the equipment. We chatted to Marcus J. Baskerville, founder of Weathered Souls and of the Black is Beautiful campaign, because he donated the recipe from his brewery, Weathered Souls. He called us, I think, on the way back from the airport. He had a plane delay that nearly derailed all our plans, but he just joined us from the car.
Yeah. It's about 2 hours late, wasn't it? When he first sort of popped into the little window, the interface of how we do the live stream, and you can see people that have like phoned in. It looked like he was driving a car, which I found absolutely terrifying. And I think, I don't know if it came out on air, but I was like, I think he's driving a car. Should we go to him? Because I thought, this is irresponsible. What if something bad happens because he's not paying attention? But
no, he was a passenger.
It's because he's in America. It's the other way round.
Oh, yeah, he's on the other side. Yeah, I see. I can see why you got confused there now. Yeah,
I'm just like, holy shit, what's Marcus doing? He's like driving and talking. But I feel like we've done that with someone else, and they were driving and talking at one point. I can't remember who that was.
Oh, God, I don't know. Possible. It's possible.
Anyway.
So we did that, and then on Monday we were flying by the seat of our pants by the end of it with this 3 series pastry stout homebrew. Usually we're not like still fermenting the beer, or it's all packaged by the time the first episode goes out, so that we know that the second episode can happen. Whereas we were sort of on Monday being like, this has to work. You know, this nitro pour and this slushy thing, because if it doesn't work, we haven't got any time to fix it in time for the next episode. But luckily it did. Other than me getting caught in traffic, everything went off incredibly without a hitch. I can't believe the slushy worked. I can't believe the nitro worked, and I can't believe that I managed to turn it into a video in 48 hours.
The edit was, you done a cracking job on the edit, mate. I honestly think this might be the best thing we've done this year, this series. I loved going to Sweden, and that documentary from A Church from Apollo is incredible. But the feel-good factor, how satisfying it was watching the video all come to fruition, everything working somehow like a well-oiled, oily, beery machine. Everything came and it all worked, man. It's so satisfying to watch it, and it was. Yeah,
I mean, if you asked me, is this going to work? Like at that point when we were having a real crisis off camera, like where we just weren't hitting on anywhere near our numbers, and if you'd said, you know, is this going to work out? Is this video going to work? Is this beer going to work? I'd have been like, there's absolutely no way. We're going to have to dump this batch and start again.
Yes.
So you know, there's so much that I tweak, and we put out that tweaked recipe, but I mean, it was a 7 out of 10 beer, and that's what I aim for with everything that we do. If it's not 7 out of 10, then it's not going on the channel, because you can tweak from 7 up to 8, 9 and still enjoy it. You know, when you got a 6 out of 10 beer, it's probably not just the recipe or the process that's wrong. There's probably a conceptual idea, or you've ballsed it.
Yeah. I think that adding the soft serve slushy made it an 8 out of 10 beer for me. Just the whole shebang, the whole kind of experiential thing. Very satisfying, Johnny. Very, very satisfying.
I really enjoyed, like, when we did the Cask Ale episode, like, I really enjoyed seeing loads of people go, like, I went out and bought a hand pull off the back of this video. I don't think that's going to happen with the slushy machine, because the first person that started Googling it, I think it was in the Patreon forum, was like, now Googling slushy machines, not going to buy one. And they're like, $1,500.
Ooh. Well, I haven't looked yet, but I did honestly think, if I had a bit more room in my garage, maybe I could fit a slushy machine in there. But I have no room. I have zero room in my garage. It's full of bikes. But yeah. So I won't be buying a slushy machine.
No slushy machines. Well, we can just go down to the Beer Merchants Tap, who were incredibly good sports.
Oh, so good.
Even when we really did make a lot of mess on their floor. It was only it was only when I was editing. So the slushy machine was on that trolley, and underneath the trolley was like a grey plastic tray.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at that going, why is that there? And then it only occurred to me during the edit that you definitely put the tray underneath where you're pouring, and it catches all of the overflow.
Oh, I see.
And we didn't do that.
We are stupid, aren't we? That's crazy.
That's why there was a real puddle of pastry.
Didn't even consider that. A puddle of pastry. That's
the podcast name.
Say. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So tell me about the comments. What did you find that amused or inspired you in the comments, Brad?
Well, we had some right little amuse-bouche of comments going on. Elaborate trolling, who I think is the guy that you asked people to troll you about something, and then he was quite harsh and he did troll you. I think that's elaborate trolling. I think that's the user that did that to you. But anyway, elaborate trolling, he's come with the goods this week. He said, good news, this was brilliant, in all caps. Bad news, you have set a very high bar for yourselves. As a magnum opus goes, this is a great one. As a brewing video, this was 10 out of 10. And then he's put little asterisks, chef's kiss, to denote what he's doing with his hands. Chef's kiss. I like that as a phrase now. I'm very into it.
Chef's kiss?
Yeah. Did we talk about this before? Someone said it to me a couple of weeks ago about something. Like, I was wearing something weird, as always, and someone came up to me and went, love your fleece or something. It's chef's kiss. And I was like, what? But he did a little sort of like a hand, like emoticon thing with his face.
Yeah.
But I was like, no one's ever done that to me before. I was like, that is weird, but also kind of into it. I was like, this is like a real life sort of emoticon that came from something people did, but now they're doing it and they're doing like a sort of chef's, I don't know, it's just very
the emoji
weird
version
and meta.
of the thing that it was. Yeah, it's all got a bit.
Yeah. It's like
meta,
super meta and weird. I was like, what the hell's going on here? Have I stepped into an alternate reality where people just communicate with emojis? I don't know. Anyway, asterisk chef's kiss. What does asterisk thing mean, Johnny? Does that mean it's like a stage action type thing, is it?
Yeah.
When you have...
They're saying this is an action, not a phrase. Don't read it. Imagine it.
Yeah. Chef's kiss, right.
Yeah.
So he says chef's kiss. That one I loved. We had Mr. Rugelot, who is, I think, coming out with some of the best comments week on week.
He's featuring heavily of late.
Yeah. He said this week, seeing your brewing background lead up to this monster is like watching Mickey Mouse in Fantasia turned into Voldemort.
Wait, is that what happens in Fantasia?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't watched Harry Potter, but I know Voldemort's the bad wizard, right?
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
But I guess he means you've turned from like maybe Fantasia's like
happy kiddie, excitable magician to,
and then it's like full on mental, like aggressive magicianing. So
right.
that's like aggressive pastry stout.
Voldemort of homebrew.
Like, high wizard of pastry stout. Maybe you're a high wizard of pastry stout now, Johnny. Maybe you and Hennock need to have an arm wrestle.
Could be.
I think he'd win. I think he looks pretty tough. Sorry, Johnny.
Well, I mean, he's carried a lot of very heavy grain bags, given what he's been brewing.
Yeah. And all those heavy bags of fucking massive hazelnuts that he whops into everything. Yeah. So probably won't win that one, Johnny. Sorry.
Thanks for your faith.
I've got more comments if you want them. I had one about... so it's from Mark Sadler. Me and Bradders are the same. Love coffee impy stouts. Don't like coffee. And then in reply, Mr. Rugelot again. There's more of us hiding in the shadows. So he's implying that he don't like...
Dozens of us.
It's
like my dad doesn't like tomatoes but loves pizza. And you're like, but it's
Mate,
tomato on bread.
No, I'm the same. It's the tomato. We've talked about this personally. I don't know about.
No, I think it was on the podcast. We talked about the texture of tomatoes and how you don't like them. Yeah, it's all coming rushing back.
Don't like it. Can't handle it. But mate, give me beautiful, like extra tomato saucy base on what Give me the best tomatoes from Sicily that have grown on the side of Mount Vesuvius in that volcanic soil. I'm trying to. I think it's San Margiano. I can't remember what they're called anyway. delicious sweet tomatoes. Love all of that stuff. As long as they're cooked.
Pureed.
Johnny.
Oh, cooked as well.
If they're raw and they've got that mad texture where they're like squishy and juicy and all the rest of it, I can't handle it. Can't deal.
Sounds delicious to me.
Yeah, I know.
I've got a comment for you.
Yeah, go on.
There was only one choice for me this week. It's from Simon Jenkins. It says, an insult to beer. Abominable stuff.
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. I was like, is that trolling? I was like, it's very deadpan. I don't know about that.
I think maybe he's said it so many times, you know, he doesn't pad it out anymore. He's like, it's dismissive. That's what it is. That's the tone I'm getting from Simon Jenkins. Simon Jenkins is actually a beer writer. I don't know whether it is this Simon Jenkins. Right. So I hope not, or else, you know, the next time I go to a guild event, could be awkward. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely abominable stuff. I think I called it filthy, but these things are filthy delicious, you know?
Yeah. Look, man, we're celebrating here. This is all. There's a wide world of beer. Why can't we have a little fun and make things that are vaguely beery? You know, like this is beer, man. This is beer.
Yeah,
it's just
of course,
not beer as you know it.
It's absolutely beer. It's absolutely beer, and adjuncts of you know, fruits, nuts, spices, herbs have been used in beer for centuries. So historically, it's nonsense to say that these things aren't beer or that they're an insult to beer. I don't think we should hold beer in such high esteem that we can insult it. I think that's ridiculous. No. But I think the point and the reason why some people don't like pastry is because they're worried that it is distracting or damaging the reputation of more traditional styles, perhaps styles that we've been working really hard to get consumers to fall back in love with, things like, you know, really good lager. And they think that this is distracting or ruin the reputation of brewing. And I think that, you know, you might have a point. It might, you know, it definitely distracts journalists and writers, you know, the price of the pint, the silly stuff that goes into it, the crazy ABVs, all this kind of stuff is clickbaity kind of content that distracts people from the important stuff, which is like great artisan lagers should be what we're drinking, not all this sort of mass-made nonsense. But I don't think that... I think that the issue is with our messaging and with our marketing and, you know, with the challenges we've got to face and beat. The problem isn't with pastry stout. Pastry stout hasn't created the misinformation about beer that's out there. It's, if anything, it's getting people excited and getting people talking about it is my sort of view on that. So, not an insult to beer. No. Not abominable, but filthy and delicious stuff. Simon?
Filthy and delicious, Simon. That's what I want to say too. Yeah, it's great stuff. So I had something I was going to say, and then I totally lost my train of thought there. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
I'm sure we've had a beer, if that's a hint.
It was. I was going to make a comment about pastry stout, but all I would say is, if anyone is feeling like Simon, please go and watch all 3 of these episodes, because I think you'll get a newfound respect for what goes into making these things, because they're I mean, this is incredibly labour intensive and the most complicated brewing process we've ever undertaken. So
yeah,
gotta have respect for
whatever
that.
You think of pastry, high gravity brewing is difficult to get right. And we nearly got it right. We came pretty close, so I'm pretty impressed with this. I think if we did it again, we'd make an even better beer for sure with the stuff we've 100%,
learned. Mate. Yeah. I've remembered what I was going to say, which is basically anyone that's sort of taking the point of this is distracting. These beers are like, you're not going to session these beers. It's a one and done, in my opinion. You're only having one of these a night, and then you're going to move on. You might go to it last, or you might have a bit first. You might share it in a group, but you're not drinking pints and pints of this stuff. If you are, you're going to be on the floor. But I think there's a place for this alongside the best lager. You know, everything, man. There's a place for everything. Maybe not hard seltzer.
It's everything in moderation. It's
exactly
the way we should all live our lives. Yeah, cool. Well, that's all we've got time for, Bradley, because I think there was about a 25-minute detour at the start and then 3 minutes of beer content, which is the usual form. So yeah, I'm not going to talk about next week's video because I haven't finished it yet and I'm worried about it.
Yeah.
Which seems to be the theme right now.
Oh, you're allowed to be worried. You've got a hangover. Beer fear. Have you got beer fear? Do you get beer fear?
Oh, I definitely do get beer fear. This time,
Yeah.
I think the joy of the award means that I'm feeling pretty good about life, so that I haven't got the beer fear. But yeah, that's definitely good. I am a beer fear sufferer.
Yeah. Bollocks, I've forgotten what I was going to say again, Johnny. I've forgotten what I was going to say again. Oh, okay. So, in sad news, Bigfoot Festival has been cancelled, so we won't see you all there.
Sad news.
Very, very sad. We were both very much looking forward to that. But we've got lots of exciting stuff coming up, and hopefully we'll have a live show at some point, won't we, Johnny?
Yeah, I need to get my arse in gear with the live show, but we'll definitely have that. And if you are anywhere near the Bristol and Southwest, I am hosting the cheese and beer matching tent at Wild Beer Co. Next Saturday. And excitingly, we are going to be blending a collaboration beer with Wild Beer Co. the day before. So we're going to have a collab with them coming out using their barrels. So that's dead exciting as well. So lots of stuff happening that's all distracting me from actually editing videos, but it's all going to come good. In the end, much like this podcast, just about has. We will see you on Wednesday and then Friday again. And then maybe Saturday for some beer and cheese. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel. And if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.